just turned on the whoa shit, I've got my stream open somewhere. Whoa shit, I've got my stream. Get away from me. Get away from me. No. Get away from me. Get away from me. No. Get away from me. Get away from me. No. Shut the fuck up. Oh, that's so funny. Well, what a brilliant introduction. What a brilliant introduction to a stream where I plan on hearing other voices. Oh, that's so funny. But I apologize for worrying you. The important thing about today is that I need... Excuse me. In order for this to work, I need quiet. And obviously I love a little intro, but it's quite bombastic and quite loud. So what I wanted to do was to start today with some quiet. And that's what I'm going to need from you too. So in order for this to work, what I need from you is total cooperation and just for you to try to be calm. Calm with me, okay? I'm not sure how well this is going to work. As I've said before, it's not as though I can have a full dialogue with any of them. It's not as though I can see a whole person and talk to them and understand them as a whole person. I can feel generally what they may feel about something. And sometimes I can hear words, phrases, voices, etc. You can of course, chat amongst yourselves, but all I need from you is to be calm. Okay? They've been helping me stay calm for a while, and so while I've already lit a fire, I'm also going to light some candles. I've told you this before, but it's been something that's helped me relax in other situations, and being calm is the most important part of this. If I'm anxious, or if I'm stressed, or if I'm angry, it'll either be totally silent or it will be too loud to make anything out clearly. Some of you have sent some questions with the hashtag, which I'm going to be looking through, but also a lot of the questions asked have been really interesting, and I'm very much looking forward really to learning something with you. But also what I would like to say is that you're more than welcome, if you have time and think of something, and I'll take a look after we've gone through some of the first questions, you're more than welcome to ask more personal questions. Not about me, but about yourself. These people have knowledge that has passed down for centuries, and so they may, if you're going through a difficult period, they may have some advice that you wouldn't hear from anybody else. So if you feel as though you would like some sort of guidance or advice from a voice that you would never ever be able to hear otherwise, you can. So you can go ahead, and the hashtag on Twitter is Letters from New Sidonia. So if you have any queries more related to yourself, then you're more than welcome to ask something. And I'll go ahead and take a look once we've gone through the bulk of these questions. I'm going to go ahead and light my candles now. I have this, I think it'd be more interesting if I had a box of matches, but I've actually got this, this big stick that I push a button on, and then it's not a lighter, And it functions exactly like a lighter, but it's very, very long, so I don't get my fingers caught, which is quite nice. There we go. I've got two. I figured some symmetry would be good. Although this one's like practically out of wax, so it might burn out before the end of the stream, but we'll see. There we go. Well, it's not a zappy one. I like the zappy ones. They're cool. They're very cool. Yes, I'll be talking for them because I can't exactly give them a microphone. So let's get started, shall we? First of all, there are some questions that were asked that I can field accurately myself, so we'll go through those first. First of all, from Lana, are Jiro and this young girl still among you all? And the answer to this simply is that we wouldn't know if we asked. It's difficult to get very specific sort of details or answers, and it's very difficult to make out a person's identity just from sort of looking inward like this. So the simple answer is I don't know, and if they are, we couldn't find out. But it's a very good question. It's a very good question. If they were happy, afraid, or curious, I wouldn't know either, because there were so many in there already that if I ever felt that they were happy, afraid, or curious, it would sort of blend in with the others. So, and next, are y'all in there astrally, like on a separate plane of existence, or is it more of a physical manifestation where you're occupying the space in the demon's flesh? It's a good question, but I'm pretty certain it's more of a theoretical space that's sort of somewhere inside me. It's a kind of like, I'm not sure how best to explain it, but if you think about something like the TARDIS from Doctor Who, it's like an impossibly, it doesn't matter how big or small I am, it has its own shape and size. And yes, the diagram is very good, isn't it? It has its own shape and it has its own size. And yes, because I don't know, I feel as though it would be difficult, more difficult to communicate with them if they were stuck inside one of my capillaries instead. But who knows? Maybe they'll read this one and quickly misinform me that in fact I've been stuffing them inside my flesh this whole time. And then I'm sorry, but I was wondering if someone could stick their head out like this while my lord is asleep. The answer to this is no. The answer to this is a strong no. They don't, to my knowledge anyway, have a physical body, at least not anymore, that they could stick out. And if they're able to exit me, I haven't felt it happen, and it certainly if it has happened, it certainly hasn't happened like this. So I believe that's the last of these questions. Let me check the next one. So I'm fairly certain that the answer to this is a yes. Fairly certain the answer to this is that it does hurt, but wondering what it's like. That's something I can't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close my eyes, and it may take me some time, but when I open them, I will hopefully have something to tell you. So let's see how it goes, shall we? Yes, fair to say the answer to that one is a strong yes. I felt a bit of a sharp pain. I didn't hear anything, but I definitely felt them respond to it, so yes, I think that's a yes. You remember, if you were there for when I tried to do that workout stream, you might remember I kept talking about how hard it was. Well, you know, they do burn like that, so did at points feel like I was on fire. So, yes, I think this may be a bit of a sensitive subject, but it's a good question. This one's from Mianya. So, I remember you saying that you can sometimes hear them. Are they the souls of older kindred? I believe so, but if so, seeing as he has obviously eaten regularly and follow what I call the Dexter route, there should be newer souls. So, here's my theory. Souls belonging to older kindred that have some way or another dodged being burned. Have they gained some sort of conscience over time, and them sensing or knowing that a soul is from a bad person, they coax them into being burned for fuel first? Well, that is interesting. Well, let's try it. This is a pretty complex concept, so it might take me a while to describe to them, but we'll see. We'll see. Thank you for your patience, by the way. Okay, let's try it. Well, I did hear something this time. They laughed. At least that's what I heard. It sounded like a bit of a mocking laugh. If I was to guess, I think that they find the idea of them getting to choose kind of laughable. So, I'm not sure if there's some metaphorical furnace in there where they can take the bad ones. I think it's just kind of all of them at once, or it's entirely random. So sort of seems like it's almost like the weather, where if I were to strain myself, then the weather would get much, much, much hotter. Anyone caught in it would be, you know. I like this image from Mufang. Is there also sunrise and a sunset or a moonset? Or do the seasons change? When I'm awake, is it day? And when I fall asleep, is it night? Do you have a network signal? Can you see the stream? I'm going to go ahead and say probably not. I don't think they have phones or the internet in there. But the first question, I don't know. So I'll give it a go, and I'll ask. Yeah, that's the worst part of all, isn't it? No Wi-Fi. Wow. Okay, let's try. That was quite different. There was nothing for a moment, and then I felt, literally on my skin, I felt a blanket. I felt a blanket on my skin. And I could feel warmth on my face, and I could hear birds. I think they must. I think there must be sunrise and sunset. If they have places to go to bed, they must. Huh. That's good. That's good. No Wi-Fi though. No Wi-Fi. Sorry. Do you sense Milord's emotions? Or is it like the weather? When he's sad, it rains. Or when he's happy, it's warm and sunny. I think this is true, but I don't know if they can sense my emotions. So I'll go for some more clarity. Let's see. think that's a pretty resounding yes. Again, at first they laughed. I think it's because they already knew the answer, and they knew that I already knew. The weather is an interesting idea, but I don't quite think it works that way. I think the reason why is because it wouldn't rain when I'm sad, because I quite like the rain. I think it's just I can't really tell if they do have weather, but I imagine if they did, it might be just whichever weather I'm having or whichever type of weather I'm thinking about. I think when Christmas rolls around, I'll have to try and think about snow. But they laughed, and they smiled, and I think, because I'm calm, they are too. So maybe yes. So this comes from Sue, who had 2 questions, but the second one I thought was particularly interesting. Are you able to feel the passage of time? Or are you always in chaos and can only perceive it when the Lord allows it? Well, I've certainly never tried to disallow anything. I don't think I have that much control. This is a good question, so we'll see. Yes, they can. But it's slow. It's very slow. Some of them I'm sure must believe in rather than the kind of afterlife you may think of. Many of them believe in reincarnation, but they know that inside me they're stuck, where death of another kind might have been some new start. They know this experience means they won't be able to. So they have a longer life. They don't age at all. I know that much. You've heard of cherubs, haven't you? If a child dies when they go to heaven, they don't grow up, and if Jiro and that girl were still here, they would be just the same as I remember them being. If I were to perish, what would happen to you? Would you all drop to the ground to be absorbed by someone else, or would you dissipate into the heavens? I know part of the answer to this. I've killed other demons before. And when I do, I run. Because the souls they've consumed will rise from their body. And if another demon is nearby, it will, or they will, fly towards it. So, exactly. So, before they have a chance to know what's happening, I run. But there have been plenty of occasions, especially a long time ago, where I haven't been so lucky. But what would happen to them? I imagine they would. I imagine it would be the same. They would, just like if I were human, they would float out of my chest and hang around for a moment on that thread. And then, if no other demon was nearby, they would go off to the afterlife. It really is straight up. It's just up. And very fast, too. But what I'm wondering, and what this question makes me think, makes me wonder what happens to them after they've been burned. So I'm gonna ask that question, I think. They laughed at me again. They weren't laughing just in general like last time. They were laughing at me, just pointing. Felt like they were pointing and laughing. It's like they know something I don't. Well, I know better than to pry, so. You said you heard their souls or their voices inside of you. If you can hear them, can they also hear you? Like hearing your thoughts? I think so. It's sort of how I'm communicating with them right now. Why do they keep laughing at you? Well, if they don't age, I'd like to say try living this long and not developing at least something of a sense of humor. So yes, I think we've sort of covered this one. If you can hear them, can they also hear you? I don't know if they can hear what I say out loud. Let me try something. I'll say something out loud, and then I'll try asking if they heard what I said. Okay. I'm going to say a random sentence. Oh God, yeah, I certainly hope not. Okay. I'll say a random sentence and I'll try not to think it after I've said it. Maybe, oh no, this is difficult. Every time I think of a sentence, I've thought of it and then I'll know what it is. Hang on, let me try. Maybe I'll say something I haven't thought of. I'll read something straight from like one word from each message you're sending me. Sounds down, random could thinking bungalungas. Here we go. They said, what? I don't think they can directly hear or see, which is good. Kind of have some semblance of a private life, I guess. I do worry about that, though. From Kiwi, do they still remember their own identity? Or do they lose that sense of individuality after some time and simply join into an amalgamation of souls with the same mind? If it's the latter, do they regain the memory of their identity once they are released or burnt? That's a very good question. Okay. Let's try it. I think they do remember their own identity. Like I said, I don't hear very direct answers, but I heard music and I could smell perfume and I could hear laughter and applause as well. I think they do remember their identity because they're all different and they're doing all sorts of different things. Oh, I've screenshotted this same question a bunch of times. But yes, I think, do they literally feel what I feel, though? I'm sure they can in some way sense my thoughts, maybe not hearing them directly, but do they feel exactly what I feel? I might not get something specific, but I can try. Okay. I don't think they can feel exactly what I feel, but my feelings do impact them. If I was stressed, they would be in pain. And like now, if I'm calm, they feel happy. I guess that's good. Because it means they get to think for themselves. Really curious about this, but have any of you thought of ways to get back at Vox? Is there any physical, mental, or emotional damage you do to him while trapped? Do you seek revenge, and even in the littlest ways? Well, yes, I think the guilt is enough, but I can ask. The biggest example I can think of would be when I tried to push myself for the workout stream, and they did kind of almost forcibly stop me. But I'll see. I'll see. Not directly, but they seemed to insist that there have been plenty of times where they've sort of taken over for a second. Not fully, but enough to change my mind about things. I did hear a bit of laughter, yes. And there was a time when I was about to kill someone. A very bad person who definitely deserved it. And I was fully and completely out of control. Even more so than I was during the battle at the castle. When I brought my sword to their neck, my hand just stopped. And I don't know, but I think they tried to stop me. Why then, not in other occasions, I don't know, but maybe I'll find out one day. From Ka, I imagine souls do not feel hungry themselves. Can they feel the taste of what you've eaten? The texture, the smell, whether it's sweet or savory. And when this happens, does it awaken memories of that food? Like a delicacy that I've eaten, or a delicacy that they've eaten as a child. Interesting. Okay. Let me think. Well, all I've had to eat today was some chicken and brown rice. But suddenly I could taste something, and it definitely wasn't that. Maybe if they're doing all those other things, like playing the piano and singing and dancing, and maybe they've got food down there too, but only for only for the love of it rather than to stay alive. Interesting. It's good. It's very good. How is it like when another soul gets consumed? Is it a mix of celebration and sadness, knowing that there's more of you but one less on the outside? That's a very good question. Let me see. When I shut my eyes, it feels like they're shut for a very long time. I didn't hear anything, but what I... Oh. Felt like I was in a room. It was really small. Really, really small room. And it was dark. And I kept running at the walls. I kept punching the walls, trying to knock them down. But they were made of metal. They're too strong. And then it was like I could hear gas, like my candlelight. Listen, like a gas burner, and the floor started to get hot. And I kept running back and forth against the walls. And the floor got hotter and hotter and hotter. Oh. Oh. that's what it's like when you arrive. Oh. Oh, God. I have to stay calm. Stay calm. Why don't we, if you've had a chance, why don't we look at some questions from the hashtag if any of you need advice. Now, if you ask a question that's personal, I will ask them, but I'll tell you exactly what they say, so take it as it goes, you know. It may not be what you want to hear, but so there's a question from Italian Love Cake. I feel, for lack of a better word, trapped in my current line of work. How badly do I have to fight to get out of it? I feel like things just keep getting worse. Okay. Well, they certainly have an interesting perspective on being trapped, so let's see. Oh yeah, I'll take the question off screen. These are just ones that I haven't screenshotted, they're just ones I'm looking at, but hold on. Quite resoundingly. They seem happy that you have a choice where they don't. It's not jealousy, it's knowledge that I think they've gained after such a long space of time being stuck. So, what I would say is, at least what they're saying, use your freedom to the fullest while you still have it, because they lost theirs, and no matter how trapped you feel, it won't be fully trapped. You're not as trapped as you think you are. And they know that life can end without warning at any time. So, use yours to live happily and try to find something that makes you happier without feeling like you need to be trapped. Because it may feel that way, but it isn't necessarily true. And neither they nor I know the full context of your life or how much you have the ability to just drop everything and start anew. But within the context of what you know to be sensible and safe, I think that's good advice. This is from Unlucky Clover. I'm obsessed with somebody and my friends are concerned. And I feel terrible. Not only that, but I'm also going through a lot of stress at school. I need the souls to tell me, what do I do? Okay, that's a good question. Let's see. I think we're all in agreement on that one. It can feel both. It can feel good and bad to have love that you could call an obsession. But I've said this kind of thing before, but if you haven't told them, you should. Not that you think you're obsessed, but that you like them and you would like to go on a date or something. Don't tell them you're obsessed. That's not going to end very well for you. But I've seen too many times when a person's rejection continues to tear them apart long after they've been given a no. So if they say yes, I mean, nice, well done. But if they say no, remember that you don't need anyone other than yourself to be happy. Connection is wonderful, and inevitably you will find other people. You have friends, which is good. Inevitably, you will, if you're kind to yourself, you must realize that this feeling you have is not pathetic. It's actually very brave to be really deeply in love. And so, if it doesn't work out, don't feel ashamed. Don't feel ashamed for it not having worked out. Don't feel ashamed for being so in love with somebody. I think you should be proud. It adds an immense quality to your soul to feel things that strongly. And this is something you should be proud of. remember that if you are proud of yourself, and that if you do find a way to love yourself, inevitably you will, I guarantee it, find someone else to be obsessed with. And as for the stress of school, I can feel this one, because I feel very strongly about it. The most important thing in the world, while you're at school or college or university or whichever, the most important thing in the world is not to get the best grades. You should try to do as well as you can, especially if you have your eyes on getting into a good school. But when you are going through those formative years, you need time. You need time to find yourself. I have known so many people who went to these schools and were squeezed dry by a system that wants them to succeed not for themselves, but for the institution that they went to. The better grades you get will not equate to a better life necessarily. It will equate, however, to more money for that school. You will be so much happier, I promise you, if you find time to explore yourself and to understand exactly what it is that you really want to do with your life. Try hard and get the best grades you can. Of course, giving up is not what I'm implying. But the kind of things that they're asking you to do will shut you down over time. Avoiding stress and feeling comfortable and calm is the best part of the whole experience. So please, don't give up and don't sabotage your grades or anything. But find the space to understand yourself first. There's room for both. You can study and you can succeed, and you can go on to do great things while also having the time to really understand yourself. Because I know so many people who have finished with their education, and because they were so fixed on getting to the end of it and just getting that number on the piece of paper, that when they leave, they don't have any idea what to do with themselves. This happened to so many people I know. Some of the people that I knew when I went to university. Some of the people who were the most successful, hardworking who were there. They don't know what to do. Well, they've got plenty of interests. They're fascinating people, but when it comes to how much they value themselves, they've just kind of been told, oh, you're good at math, oh, you're good at this, you're good at that, well, there you go. That's what you're doing with the rest of your life. And it goes and it goes and it goes and it goes and it goes, and then they never thought, well, maybe if I'm good at something, it doesn't necessarily mean that I like doing it. And then they get into a career and suddenly they feel like their life is already over. Once they're stuck down with financial responsibility and no real way of changing careers, and they know they're somewhere they don't want to be, it's like someone's fired a gun at them and they're just waiting to see how long it will take for the bullet to hit them. They're already dead, it's just going to take a while. There is another question that I saved earlier, and I'd like to go back to that one. The Lord once said he could hear you talk and sing when he's in slumber, or just calm, like right now. Do you sing totally out of your own joy, or intentionally to comfort him? Can you sense his feelings? Well, I think we know the answer to the last part, but I don't know. I don't know the first part, so let's see. Listen to them sing something. And then felt like I was sat down in a concert hall and I was listening, and then someone took me by the hand and they asked me to sing for them. It's not common, but they were all smiling, all of them. I couldn't make out anyone's face, but they were all smiling. They said they were proud of me. Well, that's the last question I had saved. I didn't want to push my luck, so I think that might be a good place to call it. Right. I'll do okay. Don't worry about me, just hope you thought that was interesting. No, they're not. Quite the opposite. Feels like they're less mad at me than usual. They seemed extraordinarily happy. I haven't known them to be that happy in some time. Maybe they do. Maybe they do appreciate it. Well, thank you everyone. I know this might have seemed like a really strange thing to want to do, and kind of unbelievable, but those of you who are here who did want to know something, I'm glad we could have found some answers. Yes, I think rest for their sake is a good idea, always. Okay. I'll head off now. Sorry, I feel so lost for words. My head feels very busy. I think I need to go and talk to them again, but maybe with some more privacy. So that, I think, will do it for today, but I'll see you later for the speaker tournament, and then tomorrow for a member stream. So I'll see you soon. So, thanks for being patient with me today. This wasn't entirely easy, but knowing you have the patience to see this through with me is wonderful. And I think they thought it was wonderful too. So, I'll see you later.